Everybody, what is going on? The Catch fam, I hope you guys are doing phenomenal tonight, man. Hope everyone out there has had a great Wednesday. I hope you guys are ready for week 7 of the 2023 NFL season. It's a messy week here in the fantasy football community. We've got several teams on bye week, and man, these injuries this year are just popping up left and right. It's a tough time to be a fantasy manager, but you know what we have to do. We have to try and set the best possible lineup week in and week out to win every single matchup we possibly can. So we are going to get through week 7, promise you guys, and I'm going to do everything that I can to help you guys. So you guys know what we're getting into tonight, a little bit of fantasy Q&A, anything that you guys need, start sits, how did the waiver wire go? How are these injuries affecting you? Trades? It's probably a good time to maybe consider some trades. Anything that you guys need at all, injury updates, whatever it's going to be, throw it in the live chat. We're going to have some fun tonight. We're going to talk some fantasy football. So, yeah, it's just rough. I mean, we've got a lot of injuries that are kind of up in the air. We got some for sure injuries as well. But I was actually just reading that there's actually a chance that, according to, I think, Ian Rappaport or Adam Schefter, I don't remember which one, because honestly, those guys are like the same exact person to me, um, that Debo and Christian McCaffrey could suit up for Monday Night Football. So, like, I mean, I don't think as many people were as panicked about the Debo Samuel injury because he plays through injury so often. And, like, if you drafted him, you kind of expect him to be hurt throughout the year. But I know the CMC injury obviously much bigger for a lot of people. So I don't know, man. I mean, it's like we've gone through, like, heading into this week, like Jordan Mason, Eli Mitchell. Who do we scoop up on waiver wire? Now there's a small chance that Christian McCaffrey might actually play, but I wouldn't bank on it. So we'll kind of see what happens there. I did read today that Devonta Smith also is popping up on the injury report with a hamstring injury. So that is interesting and not very promising for all of us out here who are already kind of disappointed in what we've gotten out of Devonta Smith outside of like the first 2 weeks of the season. So we'll see what happens there. The Jets traded McCole Hardman back to the Kansas City Chiefs. I know some of you guys probably wondering, is McCole Hardman worth a stash or whatever? Maybe. I mean, he actually had some productive games last year. And he has, some chemistry already with Patrick Mahomes, and really outside of Rashee Rice, like, this team has not looked good at the wide receiver position. But I mean, Hardman hit double digits 5 times last year through the first 9 weeks, but then he also had like a lot of dud weeks. Well, like 3 dud weeks. I don't know, 7.5, 1.2, 1.4. And actually, I remember really like talking about him on waiver wire videos for a couple weeks between weeks 5 and week 9. And he scored 3 touchdowns through that 4-game stretch. And then he got hurt and missed the rest of the year, essentially. So, like, I do think, like, in redraft, you could scoop up McCole Hardman, but then again, I wouldn't be like super excited or anything. But I mean, I'm not going to say that he doesn't have any value with the Chiefs. But then, like, once again, the pecking order of wide receivers here outside of Rashee Rice is just like a complete crap show. So I wouldn't get too excited. All right, Jimmy Garoppolo did not practice today. Kyler Murray, this is exciting, is set to return from the physical unable to perform list, otherwise known as the PUP list. Cardinals had 21 days to bring him up to the active roster. So we'll get into this. I'm interested to hear your guys' thoughts on the Kyler Murray situation, but I told you guys a lot throughout the offseason that, he'd probably be back early-ish in the year. And I guess this is early-ish still, right? Deshaun Watson is a mess. We already knew that, but he's day-to-day, and then, like, his status is just, like, completely up in the air for the next couple of weeks with that shoulder injury. Speaking of shoulder injuries, Anthony Richardson will undergo season-ending surgery for his shoulder injury. That is official. So That sucks. But we already knew that was going to happen probably, but it still sucks. So, all right, let's not waste any more time. Just want to give you guys updates that you guys are probably already aware of. But get in the live chat, guys. Hit the like, do all that good stuff. And please let me know what you guys need. And let's talk some fantasy football, babe. All right, McDouble. Oh, and good to see everyone at the top of the chat. Ghost Hunter, Jude, Chase. What's up, everybody? McDouble, should I start Devontae or Waddle this week and Jerome Ford or Brian Robinson? Good questions. I actually right now would lean Waddle because Philadelphia's secondary is so bad. They're the second worst team in the league from a fantasy football perspective against the wide receiver position, Washington being the first worst. So I love Waddle this week. And, Devontae Adams kind of been up and down. He can play through injury and everything, but don't get me wrong, like Devontae Adams, a player that you should always start. But the debacle at quarterback kind of worries me for Devontae Adams' ceiling. And Adams has shown that he can play with just about any quarterback. It doesn't really matter. So don't get me wrong. If you own Adams and you're going to start him, it's a good matchup. But I actually lean Jalen Waddle right here. I love this matchup against the Eagles for him, man. Jerome Ford or Brian Robinson. Once again, an interesting question here. And I do like Jerome Ford. It's a pretty decent matchup for him. The Colts, 26th in the league against the position. They have not been good. Bottom 8 against the position. So I think Jerome Ford is just fine. We saw a little sprinkle Kareem Hunt last week, and maybe that comes to fruition as well. But I really like Brian Robinson against the Giants, 28th against the running back position. So even worse. And I feel like there's less potential for competition and targets. So it's close. I like both, but I really think Brian Robinson has a bounce back game this week against the Giants. So I'll go Robinson. Both are fine, though. Zach Evans or Najee, I'm desperate. So, yeah, this is something I was interested in seeing, like, what you guys have to think about this. But I'm really worried about the Rams' backfield right now. Like, I know, it felt like we could go out and scoop up Zach Evans and we'd have a solid kind of workhorse running back, at least for week 7, right? But now things are getting a little bit murky because you're having several running backs added to the picture, right? Darrell Henderson, who we know played for the Rams in previous years, is back in the picture. And Myles Gaskin also back in the picture. So it makes this situation a little bit murky. And, I think Zach Evans, obviously the only running back out of these 3 guys who's been on the roster since training camp and practicing with the offense and everything. And I do like Zach Evans as a prospect, or, at least as a prospect coming into the league. But it's just a little bit risky. It really is. And I just don't know if there's a clear answer. The Steelers 18th against the run, kind of mid-pack. And on the flip side, Najee Harris in the same matchup going up against the Rams, who are 11th against the position. Isn't, it's not like either guy has a great matchup, but I think I lean Najee here, at least at the moment. If we get more clarity on the Rams backfield, then maybe we can change our minds here. But guys, I'm really worried about Zach Evans, who I thought, like, out of the waiver wire options was going to be one of the guys who we could say, yeah, we can suit him up week 7 and be good. But I don't feel great about Jordan Mason. I don't feel great about Eli Mitchell. I don't feel great about Zach Evans right now. It's just a tough week. So I think I lean Najee due to volume. What do you think? Desperate running back, deep at wide receivers. Ridley for Brian Robinson too much. No, I not if you're desperate. I mean, I still like Ridley, but I think, like, if you're a Ridley owner, we have just kind of had to come to terms with the fact that he's a boomer bust flex play. I mean, still, when you look at him on the year, 3 games where he's hit double digits with a ceiling of 24 fantasy points, 3 games where he's had 7 or less fantasy points. So, like, I mean, it's not awful. He's a wide receiver 24. Let's see here. Brian Robinson, on the other hand, comes in as the running back 10. So, like, it's not a bad trade by essence at all. If you're desperate enough, I think it's fine. Brian Robinson, a good matchup this week against the Giants. We just talked about that. Next week, he gets Philly, a very, very bad matchup. Then he's at New England, at Seattle, gets the Giants again before facing Dallas and Miami, then a bye week. So really only two bad matchups, Philly and Dallas, which have to be expected being the same division coming up. So I think it's fine, actually. I do. If you're deep at wide receiver and you're desperate, I think it's fine. And I'm not out on Ridley, but I think it's okay here. Arthur, what's up, man? Musgrave, Johnny, or Logan Thomas is a good question. And the interesting part for me is that it's a half PPR league because I do like Musgrave a lot this week. He's got a great matchup, and I think he's worth considering. But I would say in full PPR leagues, he's worth considering. I don't like him that much in half PPR, but the Broncos are the worst team in the league against opposing tight ends. Also the worst team in the league against opposing quarterbacks, for what it's worth. But I think Musgrave is a really sneaky play. And maybe you can consider him in half PPR leagues, but so far he has not been very productive from a half PPR standpoint, only in full PPR. So I like Musgrave, a little bit of a murky situation. I really like Johnny Smith. I didn't put together a waiver wire video this week. We just talked about things on Monday night stream and Sunday night stream. I streamed both nights this week. So, but I really like Johnny Smith. Now I will say it's a tough matchup this week for him. The Bucks are the second best team in the league against opposing tight ends. So we had to kind of consider that, right? And obviously Kyle Pitts has been productive in the last 2 weeks, but so is Johnny Smith. They both have hit double digits in the last 2 weeks. Johnny Smith is the tight end 8 in fantasy right now. Kyle Pitts is the tight end 9. So what I'll say is if you have enough faith to start Kyle Pitts right now, you should have the same amount of faith to start a guy like Johnny Smith. But this is a tough matchup. I do want to put that out there. With that being said, Washington ranks pretty highly against opposing tight ends as well. Not nearly as high as the Bucks, and they both scored last week. So I don't know. I mean, I really like Johnny Smith. I think I just think he's been consistent. Logan Thomas is interesting, but I don't have as much faith in him. So I think the kind of ground play, safer play is actually Johnny Smith. And if you want a little bit of risk, a little bit of upside, you go based on matchup, you go Luke Musgrave. All right, let's see here. Good to see you, Warrior Loft. Shanahan hinted at Mitchell getting the first nod this week if CMC misses. Fantasy community seems to think Mason's a play. Where do you stand? I don't understand in either side, Taylor. I just don't like this situation. I think you're flipping a coin, and I think this is, kind of backs that up, right? I didn't go after either of these guys on the waiver this week. Now, Eli Mitchell wasn't really available in any leagues I play in. I mean, I think I'd feel good about stashing him, but I think this is not really like a long-term play. So unless you were in a really bad position at running back, or I mean, I guess like if you think CMC can get re-injured, which is definitely possible, I guess, then it's worth it, right? But where do I stand? I think it could be Eli Mitchell. I think it could be Jordan Mason. I think it could be both. And I talked about this Sunday night a lot. Like Kyle Shanahan, the way he runs that offense, like he's been kind of notorious in years past for just screwing us as fantasy managers. Really wasn't until CMC came along that he wasn't utilizing multiple running backs. So I don't feel very good about the situation. My heart says Eli Mitchell. My gut says maybe Jordan Mason. Realistically, I think it will probably be a sprinkle of both if CMC does not suit up. And keep in mind, like, we think about Minnesota and we think bad defense, and their secondary is really bad, but their front 7 against the run is not bad. They're a top 12 unit. So it's not even like it's an outstanding matchup. And if Debo's not on the field, like that hurts this offense as well. So, I mean, I just don't like this situation. Something about it. I mean, like, don't get me wrong, you start the right player and they go off, then you feel really good. But what about what if it is Eli Mitchell? Then all the people who start Jordan Mason are just like left hanging, So I'm just staying away from it, even though we think about this Niners offense and we think a lot of really good things and high powered and everything. I'm just not there. I mean, call me crazy. I'm not there. T-Law or Love, also pick 2. Let's start with T-Law or Love. Interesting, right? So Trevor Lawrence, good to see you, by the way, Dominic. Tough matchup this week for T-Law. The Saints, 7th best team in the league against opposing quarterbacks. And he's coming off of a little knee injury. Short week. For the first time ever, I think I'm avoiding Trevor Lawrence. And it's not like his ceiling has been pretty good. I keep putting faith in him. But the game plans and game scripts here for the Jaguars, who are playing good football, haven't really helped sustain a good fantasy outlook for Trevor Lawrence. So I think with everything, like I just said, tough matchup, short week, injury, low ceiling, hasn't had more than 18.7 fantasy points this year. That's his ceiling. Every other game has been 15.7 or less. Excuse me, I got that wrong. 16.4 or less, but still close enough. You get the point. He's still a top 15 quarterback in fantasy, but man, I don't feel good about Trevor Lawrence this week. I really, really don't. I do, however, feel very good about Jordan Love. Last game we saw him play in, let's face it, was a stinker. But every other game this year, he's been great. 19.6 or more fantasy points, a ceiling of 25 fantasy points. And Denver, we mentioned it earlier, the worst team in the league against opposing quarterbacks from a fantasy perspective. This is a game where they're traveling, they're at Denver, but I don't care. I think that Jordan Love has a really good week. I like him a lot. For me, it's an easy pick. We go with J-Lo. Pick 2, Debo, Ridley, Watson, Kirk. An interesting thing here is, will Debo play or not? If he plays, he's a good start against Minnesota, but I love Christian Watson against the Broncos, essentially for all the reasons we just went over for Jordan Love. I mean, Broncos aren't the worst team in the league against opposing wide receivers, but they are still bottom 12. So they're the 20th worst team. So I still go Christian Watson, just a nice boom pick this week. And then I go Christian Kirk. Now, if T-Law doesn't play, then I probably don't start Kirk or Ridley. But then you're kind of in a situation where, what if Debo doesn't play? So Christian Kirk, I do like, even if we're fading Trevor Lawrence, because he gets, so many targets and receptions out of the slot, short yardage gains. I mean, he's really stacks up those PPR points, and he's still been scoring this year too. So still like Christian Kirk, and then I like Christian Watson. But if we get indication that Debo is going to play, which we probably won't before tomorrow night, so you're kind of in a tough situation. You could risk it and just see if Debo plays or not. Might be worth it, but there's risk associated with it. What's up, Smokey? Just traded Allen and DJ Moore for Chase and Kirk. I have Burrow, 1 quarterback league. Thoughts? Josh Allen? I don't hate it. I'm not against it. I think you upgrade it. I mean, I like DJ Moore, but with the Justin Field situation, I don't mind this trade. I mean, I'd probably rather have Josh Allen than Joe Burrow, but I think you would too. But you still kind of upgraded a wide receiver, got an additional good wide receiver, so I'm not against it. Juke, some person offered me a trade where I send Mahomes to get Allen back. I just want to make sure what to do here. I mean, Josh Allen's a QB1 in fantasy. Patrick Mahomes is the QB4. Who do you like more? I mean, they're both great. They can both finish top 2. They both finish top 5. They probably will, as long as they're healthy, both finish top 5 for sure. Allen at New England, Tampa Bay at Cincinnati, Denver, Jets at Philly. Some tough matchups in there, but I don't know. Mahomes gets the Chargers this week, then he's at Denver. Miami gets a bye week. Philly, Las Vegas at Green Bay. Once again, some good, some bad matchups in there, but doesn't matter with these guys. No. Who do you like more? I like both. My heart says Mahomes. My gut says, from a fantasy perspective, maybe you just get Allen, but both are perfectly fine. You can't really go wrong. What's up, little bunny hop? Good to see you, bro. How are you doing? Hello. Amaret, what's up? Is trading Bijan for Walker and Addison worth it? Need startable wide receivers, and personally, I'm higher on Walker than Bijan. Interesting. I think you can get more for Bijan. I think you should push for more. And I really like Kenneth Walker. He's a guy that I was really high on coming into the year. Really encourage you guys to target this year, especially based on his ADP. He's the RB7 in fantasy right now. Bijan is the RB13. So, I mean, I don't mind the swap if that's what you prefer. And Addison's worth starting for sure. So I'm not completely against it, but I do think based on name value, you can still get more for Bijan, like Kenneth Walker and a higher caliber wide receiver. So maybe shop around a little bit and see what you can get. I'm not completely out on the trade if it's like I said, if it's where your heart is at, man. But I also I think Bijan is slated for some really, really good positive regression coming soon. So I hate to see you lose Bijan, I do, but I think you can get more. I think you can. Start three: Puka, Godwin, Watson, Palmer. Nice. Puka for sure, great matchup. Watson for sure, good matchup. Godwin or Palmer's the interesting part. I don't know exactly how I feel about Godwin this week, who actually is coming off of a good game. Tough matchup. Falcons 8th against the position. Palmer, on the other hand, also is a tough matchup. The Chiefs are 9th against the position. Chiefs defense, nothing to sneeze at this year. I think you go with the game script here. I think you can go with Palmer. Trust your gut there. Go with the shootout. But Watson and Puka for sure. Thanks, man. Had to throw on the Lamar represent for all the we have quite a few Ravens fans in the community. Craig Reynolds or AJ Dillon? Interesting question here, Bunny Hop. Yeah, I think Craig Reynolds is like okay. If we get word that Jahmyr Gibbs is not going to play, which let me see if there's an update. I mean, he practiced, but in limited capacity today. Like maybe I feel better, but Craig Reynolds has also been a little bit banged up as well. And it's not a great matchup for either player. I mean, the Ravens pretty dang good against the run. Okay, they're not as good as I thought. I mean, they're top 15. They're 15th overall. I thought they were a little bit higher than that, but still not a great matchup, not an awful matchup, I suppose. But I mean, AJ Dillon, like if it was 3 weeks ago, I'd just be saying, no, there's no way you're starting him. But, with Aaron Jones out in week 5, he actually stepped up 13 fantasy points, 76 yards on the ground, a tutty. And now he gets Denver. And guys, this Denver Broncos defense is literally historically bad. Okay. They are the worst team in fantasy football against opposing quarterbacks, tight ends, and running backs. And they're bottom 12 against opposing wide receivers. I think if Pat Surtain wasn't on this team, they might be the worst team in the league also against wide receivers. So I think AJ Dillon is actually okay this week. Call me crazy. But the bigger issue here, if you're considering starting AJ Dillon, is the fact that Aaron Jones practiced today in a limited capacity and is probably going to suit up against this unit, which is definitely going to hurt AJ Dillon's value. So, for what it's worth, AJ Dillon, a much, much better matchup. But I think Craig Reynolds will see better volume overall because even if Jahmyr Gibbs plays, and let's face it, they're going to use Jahmyr Gibbs as a change of pace player and Craig Reynolds is a 3-down back. So, this is a tough one. We know that this Lions offense is good. They can compete, but this Ravens defense has been really, really good this year. So at the moment, I think I kind of lean AJ Dillon, but I can't really believe that I'm saying that. Chat, what do you guys think? I think this is a good question. Craig Reynolds versus the Ravens or Dillon versus the remains of a Broncos defense, whatever we want to call it. Devonta and Olave both questionable. Looks like I'm starting Watson. I mean, yeah, definitely keep an eye. Olave, we'll know by tomorrow. And Olave, a tough player to bench. Looked good last week for sure. The Jaguars have been pretty weak against opposing wide receivers. So, yeah, I think that keep an eye on it. But Christian Watson's a great start this week for sure. So, all right. Would you do Bijan and Kirk for Diggs and Najee? No. No. I mean, I really like Diggs. Who doesn't? But no. It's Christian Kirk. No. I would keep the Bijan and Kirk side. What's up, Tommy? I seen Derrick Henry trade rumors. Yeah, I saw that too, but there's no credible source to it. You know, I mean, I could see it happening, but we kind of hear about like Derrick Henry getting traded like every year. I mean, at least like the last 3-ish years, but Tannehill hurt, team's bad thoughts. I have Spears. I mean, yeah, if you own Tajay Spears, I guess I hope it happens, but I don't know. Like, there's no like credible source to this, but we always, you know, we hear about it, so we'll see what happens. Albert, hello. Good to see you, bro. Kevin, what's up, man? Sit to Kamar, Barkley, Walker, Jones, Watson, or Ridley. Ooh. Yeah, I mean, you have a lot of really good running backs here. And some of them, I mean, I start Walker. Like, I just can't imagine sitting Kenneth Walker. He's probably must start territory at this point. I think you line him up no matter what. But I mean, he's got such a good matchup this week. Yeah, he has to be in your starting lineup. The next two are really tough. Really tough because, I mean, I think you just go Saquon. I think you just have to go Saquon. It's not the best matchup, and we don't know like what this offense is going to look like. Tyrod Taylor, quarterback, whatever. But I think you just go Barkley and Walker for me. Kamara, tough matchup against the Jags, short week. Aaron Jones coming off injury. He does have the Broncos, so like if you don't feel good about the Giants and their offense, you want to go Jones over Barkley. I think that's okay, but it's just tough to bench a guy like Barkley. Watson or Ridley? I'll go Watson. Give me the upside. Great matchup. Are there any Rams running backs you like? I mean, sure, but I don't really have the confidence to start any of them. So I do like Zach Evans, but we need to hopefully get some clarity, and I don't think we're gonna get it. I don't think it's worth it this week. Artie Sash Collar, my IR, going to be a committee playoff QB with Purdy. Love it. Purdy week 15 against Arizona. Kyler week 16 against Chicago. 17 versus Philly. Nice. What's up, CMB? Huge trade, but what do y'all think? I give up AJ Brown, CD, Drake London, and Jeff Wilson. Okay, that's a lot. Get Hawkinson, JT Olave, and Flowers. So I mean, you get a great tight end. You get JT over Wilson. Olave and Flowers over Brown, CD, London. I don't know. I mean, the running back side, the JT side wins, but AJ Brown, CD, and Drake London still have a lot of value to me. It's close. Like, how bad do you need the tight end? How bad do you need running back help? Because I don't know how much help we're going to get out of Jeff Wilson anytime soon. Hard to read that backfield right now. And then, we still have Devontae Shane coming back at some point. I don't know. I feel like AJ Brown, CD, and Drake London's been playing well lately. I don't know if I do it. I think it depends on the roster. Would you start Michael Mayer or pick up Musgrave, Johnny, Logan Thomas? Yeah, that's interesting because Michael Mayer starting to kind of show up a little bit here after being very, very quiet to start the year. 3 targets in week 5, 6 in week 6. Yeah. You get Chicago. It's a good matchup. I'm not confident enough to start him yet. It's a good trend, but we want to see that trend kind of show up for a little bit longer. So I go Jonnu for a floor, Musgrave for upside still. 3 flex and super flex. Love, Pickett, Fields, Stroud. Should I trade Hill and Waddle for Allen, Hollywood, and Jones? Unlikely. I mean, that would leave you with CD, Terry, Kirk, Godwin, Hollywood. I mean, you can get by with those guys. They're all fine. You have Jacobs, Madison, A. Shane, Pierce, Hunt, and Aaron Jones. You have Josh Allen, Pickett, Fields, Stroud. I mean, it's close, dude. It's still close, but I'm just one of the like if I have 2 players of Hill and Waddle's caliber, the way that offense is trending this year, I don't think I'd do it. It's close. Like your wide receivers go from having a tremendous amount of upside to being fine, you know. I mean, obviously, I think the big thing here that's kind of making me teeter back and forth is the quarterback situation because you acquire Josh Allen, which is huge in super flex. You just roll with Allen and Love all year, but I think having Love and Stroud is enough. You have Fields hanging around for some upside if he's ever healthy, and then you have Pickett as a worst case scenario. So I'm kind of boring. I don't think I do it. I think I just keep the upside of Hill and Waddle, but I still think it's relatively close. I think your wide receivers go from a large ceiling due to those 2 players to an okay ceiling on a weekly basis. You know what I mean? Devonta Smith is hamstring is questionable. Should I pivot to Drake London? I mean, you can like if you need to, which it sounds like you might need to. Drake London coming off of 2 good games. Always too early to say we can trust him in this offense, but he gets the Bucks. Decent enough. 16th against the position. He's fine. Thoughts on Terry and Rashee Rice this week? I like Rashee Rice a lot. I mean, I've been kind of on the Rashee Rice train for a couple weeks now. I even put him in the must start video 2 weeks ago. So I like Rashee Rice. I don't know if the ceiling's super high. You know, maybe against the Chargers it is. It's a great matchup. They're the 3rd worst team in the league against posting wide receivers. And you know, on the other hand, for Terry, like, I mean, you know what you get out of Terry McLaurin. He's always fine to start. He's got a good matchup too. So both these players are good floor plays. But I actually think that Rashee Rice, just due to the nature of his offense and the game script, gives you a little bit of a higher ceiling. But Terry's still fine. You know what I mean? I have CMC. If he doesn't play it, I need 2 in full PPR: Ford, Gibbs, Evans, Roshan. Ford, good matchup for him. We can roll him out there. And I probably go Gibbs if he plays. I mean, I think Roshan Johnson's okay too. He gets the Raiders, so maybe Roshan and Gibbs or Roshan and Ford. Yeah, that's actually who I like the best. But I think Gibbs is okay. He should get some better volume. I'm not feeling great about Zach Evans at the moment. So Roshan or Osborne in the flex. So yeah, we didn't get a lot out of Osborne last week in a good matchup. This week he has a tough matchup. He gets the Niners. Half PPR, I'll go Roshan. Good matchup. Start Musgrave or Logan Thomas. Thomas for a floor, but based off last week, I mean, his floor is low. Musgrave, upside. Great matchup. I think I go Musgrave. Looking to trade Fields to upgrade a wide receiver and flex. Been pecking around. Only option might be sending Kenneth Walker and Fields for Jacobs and Evans or Smith. You can't trade Kenneth, bro. That's your guy. You can't do it, Tommy. I mean, it's not an awful trade, actually. You can't give up on Walker. You can't do it, Tommy. It's not a bad trade. I mean, I don't know. Evans kind of trending down the last week or so. He's been a little banged up, and now Devonta Smith, same thing, been trending down a little bit banged up. So that makes it close. That makes it close. I don't think I do it, bro. I don't think I do it. It's not an awful trade. It's just with the 2 uncertainties with those wide receivers, I don't think I'd do it. I don't know. Trade Mahomes for Brees, Amon-Ra, and Fields. Wow. Depends on if you have another quarterback. Amon-Ra might make it worth it. But you guys, I mean, I always say that if you trade a player like Mahomes, you just have to know, like, when he goes off, he's a top 2 quarterback on the year. Like, you have to understand that you traded him away. Depends on who else is on the roster and if you really need the help at running back and wide receiver. But consider it. Like, you're not going to be able to plug in Fields right now. So, you think T-Law plays? I have no idea. I don't think. Let me double check if there's any update here. Yeah, he's just questionable. He did practice in limited capacity, so maybe. I don't really like him if he does, though. Would you play Chiefs defense or stream Raiders or Seahawks or Lions? I would stream the Raiders. I like the Raiders a lot. Thoughts on JSN? He's a rookie wide receiver, and he's got 2 really good wide receivers in front of him, and it's showing. But if it's redraft, maybe we get some boom games. But I don't think he's going to be super consistent as a rookie. Dynasty, you're still holding on to him. That's a different story. Andrea, how are you doing? Good to see you. Roshan's still not practicing. Flex 1, Foreman, Randall are born. Buffalo's allowed 19 plus fantasy points to wide receivers this year. I like Randall Robinson. Really good matchup for him. He looked competent with Tyrod Taylor at quarterback, so I'm not really worried if Jones or Tyrod plays. I like Randall, but if he doesn't play, Bourne is fine. I'm not really there on Foreman, even though it's a decent matchup. I mean, it's a good matchup, but you one wide receiver, 1 flex, Chris Olave, Smith, Mostart. I mean, ideally it's Chris Olave and Devonta Smith, I guess, in PPR, but man, I mean, the only reason I say that is because it's a bad matchup for Mostart this week. Other than that, Mostart is a must start every week. But Smith might not play. I think Olave is fine against the Jags. They've been pretty poor against wide receivers, so I go Olave. And then you kind of wait to see what happens with Devonta Smith because he might not play. And then you can just go Mostart. I mean, I know it's a bad matchup, but you can still roll him out there. Good to see you, Aaron Reborn. What's up? Musgrave or Mayer this week. I still am leaning Musgrave right now. A little bit of a better trend overall. Mayer, it's a shorter sample size. Mostart and Devonta likely the highest scoring game of the week. Yeah, I mean, I think that's a fair way to look at it as well. The Eagles really good against a run is my only concern. Happy PR, Foreman, Murray, or Ingram. I mean, in this situation, I'll go Donta Foreman because the matchup's good. Start Baker or Watson. I mean, I don't know if Watson's going to play. Only in Baker. Niners fan, Mitchell has not been the same. Yeah, I appreciate that update. Neither of them have nearly enough value to care about. Mason is playing like the better back. Yeah, it's like I just don't trust the situation at all. I just don't think it's going to result in like a super concrete fantasy output, but maybe. But I appreciate the insight. I'm just like, bleh. Terry, trade away Allen and Stafford for B-Rob, Goff, Watson. I would probably do that. Current team is Love, CMC, Pollard, Chase, Allen, Goddard. I mean, I hate to see you lose Keenan Allen. But with the CMC situation, Brian Robinson's nice to throw in there. Goff is a top 5 quarterback, so I'd rather have him than Stafford. And Watson, plenty of upside on a weekly basis. Doesn't really ease the pain of losing Keenan Allen, but he's someone you can plug in. I mean, you still got Puka and Terry, a lot of handcuff running backs, but I would consider this. I think it's a pretty decent trade. I hate to see you lose Keenan Allen, but I do think it helps your roster. Zach Evans or McLaughlin or Jordan Mason. Oh, God. Teabag. McLaughlin, I guess. Tough. This isn't a trade, but I dropped Thielen after week 1. Biggest mistake I've ever made. Yeah. It's tough. Tough pickings out here. Don't overreact. If you drafted someone and you drafted them for a reason, at least wait a couple weeks. I still have Jahan Dotson on one team. I'm like, I'm waiting. I think I'm pretty close to dropping Jahan Dotson, though. I probably should have already done that. Kyle, what's good, bro? Love you too, man. Ahmed or Mitchell? Yeah, I don't like either of these guys this week. Bad matchup for Salvin Ahmed. Last week, a great matchup. The Panthers were one of the worst teams in the league against opposing running backs, and he scored in garbage time. Like, I just don't see the same. I don't even think he's worth rostering right now. I mean, like, Jeff Wilson is looming back, and then, like, I don't know if we're really going to get another matchup like that. They're at Philly, they get New England, they're at Kansas City, then they have a bye week. A-Shane will be back by the bye week for sure. So New England's a good matchup, but I just think Jeff Wilson will take those touches. Even if he doesn't, it's just like one game. I'm just not there. I guess Mitchell, but I don't like that situation either. Team was Fields, Barkley, Mixon, Hill, Allen Moore, Hawkinson, Bench, Evans, Sanders, Watson, Flowers, Collins, Asian, and Higbee. With Fields out, I traded Flowers, Watson, Evans for Tua and Julio Jones. Interesting. Which helps me at QB a lot. I only gave up Bench. Well, yeah. I mean, the QB swap is huge. Julio does nothing for you, though. I mean, like, I don't see a situation where Julio's like productive enough, even with the Eagles, that he's going to be a fantasy asset. But so you basically traded Flowers, Watson, Evans for Tua, which is a lot. But I mean, like you said, those are all bench players for you. So it fixes quarterback for you, and you get a player who's probably going to be a top 5 quarterback in fantasy for the year. So that's good. But I still think losing Evans and Flowers, you should have been able to get at least someone better than Julio Jones back, in my opinion. Got smoked last week. Good thing I'm starting off 0-0 this week, the favorable matchup. Keaton Mitchell worth a stash. I mean, I don't trust the Ravens backfield at all. I said it last week too. Maybe not. Probably not. What's a good tight end to trade for? Tight ends are awful. I don't know. You kind of just have to look at like Kittle's coming off a game where he had 1 point. Maybe you could trade for him. You're probably not going to be able to trade for Hawkinson or Andrews or Kelsey or Laporta. And Dallas Goedert's creeping back in. Someone's probably willing to sell Kyle Pitts. I think Evan Ingram is a great tight end to own, but I don't know that you're going to get him. I mean, he's a tight end 12, but he's just been super consistent. What I would do, if you guys need a tight end right now, is go see if Dalton Schultz is available. I mean, he's still rostered in 61% of leagues, but he's on bye. And I really like Dalton Schultz because this Texans offense is going to throw the football a ton. He's a tight end 7 right now. Cole Kmet is a tight end 4, which is interesting. But I think he's going to trend downward with the issues with Fields' injury. So, I mean, you just kind of got to look like what are the positions on your team that you're deep at, and go find a team that has an additional tight end roster that you can kind of make a deal that makes sense. It's hard to say. I mean, tight end's so shallow, man. Johnny Smith, Dalton Schultz, go check if they're available. Hopefully the backup for Fields can get DJ Moore some points. Yeah, I think he can. I mean, backups can still find that number 1 wide receiver. I mean, look at Amari Cooper last week with PJ Walker, right? Good to see you, Birdman. What's up? Is it worth to stash Kyler Murray? I already have T-Law and Stroud, but both of them haven't shown much. Yeah, it's worth stashing them for sure. As long as it doesn't hurt your roster. Worst part of having a league where 8 people are 3-3 is that nobody's desperately willing to selling or buying because they're 1-5, 2-4, or anything. Everyone's sitting pretty. I'm in a league right now where yeah, there are 8 teams that are 3-3. So there's a 5-1 team, a 4-2 team. Yeah, a team that's won 1 game, a team that's won 2 games. Every other team is 3-3, and it's like league is wide open. But I agree with that. No one's. I like have no running back depth in that league. I have DeAndre Swift and Rashad White, and I put every single one of my wide receivers on the trade block and got like 1 offer. Anyways, stash start 1 while Fields is out. Gino or Hal? Gino been a little bit disappointing. Got a good matchup this week against Arizona. Sam Howell has not really been disappointing. Has a good matchup against the Giants. Call me crazy. I go Sam Howell. But Gino's okay. The problem is the Seahawks can also run the football well, and they're going to be able to do that against the Cardinals. So I'll go with Sam Howell. Should I stream Hal or T-Law? Yeah, or over T-Law? I think that's fine. I do. I really think it's fine. Puka and Madison for Kamara in London. Close. I'd rather have Puka than London. I'd rather have Kamara than Madison. But Madison has been, like, okay. I mean, he's basically been, like, what we expected him to be. And, I mean, he's gotten you double digits every game this year except for week 2 against Philly. He's got a bad matchup this week. It's super close. Super, super close. I think I keep Puka and it's close. Chat, what do you guys think for Iggy? Puka and Madison or Kamara in London? I really think this is close. Jones says hamstring feels the best since week 1. I don't think Dylan's a play. I did read that as well. I mean, maybe garbage time Dylan gets involved, though. Or maybe they just, even if Jones is feeling good, they want to ease him in. So, yeah, I mean, I think if Aaron or AJ Dillon's out there, which he got dropped in a lot of leagues, he's probably okay to stash. Why not? I'm 6-0. Should I trade Mostart for Monty and Evans? That's interesting because this Dolphins backfield is so back and forth, up and down. Devon A. Shane, Jeff Wilson, Ahmed, but Mostart has been really consistent. But Monty's huge. I mean, I don't even care about Zach Evans. I think Zach Evans does nothing in this trade. I really think you have to look at it as Mostart for Monty. I have Chubb, Wilson, and Justice Hill. You're 6-0, so you're not really in like. I mean, here's the thing, right? If you do trade, you can't start Monty right now. So, like, is this Dynasty or a redraft? Because Chubb does nothing for you either. I think I hold Mostart. I think I hold Mostart. I think I hold Mostart. Dylan versus Craig messed up your head. I think it's just close. Only asking because Chuba, Sanders, and Tank Dell on bye. It's very close between those two. Musgrave or Mayer? I'll go Musgrave. Great matchup. GT Sport, what's good, dude? Drake London or Watson? I'll go Watson against the Broncos. Should I trade ETN, Ridley, Downs for Cup and Gibbs? 5-1 with Pollard, Jones, Hill. Very close because Cup's involved, but I'm going to say no. ETN's been so good, and the Jaguars look like they want to run and play defense before letting Trevor Lawrence throw the football. And Ridley is still like a really good boomer bust flex play. Josh Downs, decent PPR. Close because Cup's involved, but I'm going to say hold. Trade Kelsey, Thomas Cook for JT Cooper, Kittle, Dynasty. I mean, I'd rather have JT than Cook. I'd rather have Cooper than Thomas. I'd rather have Kelsey than Kittle. So look at it that way. Is it tight end premium? I guess that matters. Man, I think I'd probably do it, but I hate losing Kelsey, even if he's. I mean, I guess him and Kittle are both towards the back end of their career, but Kelsey's probably closer. But I'd probably do it. I'd probably do it. K9 to the moon this week. Charles did not practice. What's going on with Charby? Hot take. I don't think Kyle's going to be good this year if he returns. He's been away from football for so long, and him coming back will mess with some chemistry that Dobbs currently has. I think that's the craziest statement. But I still think he brings some good upside. Tight end is Ingram. I commit, dropped him for Schultz. Surprised he was on waivers. Yeah, I like that. I mean, I think if you have Ingram and Schultz, you're in a good spot for sure, man. Thoughts on Zach Evans this week? I'm worried. Also worried about Kittle. Don't know if I should try getting more tight end depth. Just ride with the volatility. I mean, yeah, Zach Evans, as you've probably already heard throughout the stream, I'm not crazy about. I just think we need to try and get some more clarity, and I don't know if we're going to get it. Kittle, I think if you drafted Kittle, you have to roll with the volatility. But Dalton Schultz, Johnny Smith, if those guys are out there, go scoop them up. But the thing with Kittle is when you bench him, he's going to score 3 touchdowns against Dallas. When you start him, he's going to have 1 point against the Browns because they can't, I mean, basically what happened last week is that, Trent Williams got a little bit banged up. The Browns were getting a ton of pressure, and they had to use George Kittle to block. And even then, it helped, but yeah, this Browns defense is literally on a historic pace. They've given up like the least amount of yardage, like since like a team has since like 1961 or something ridiculous. Anyways, you still roll with Kittle. You just have to. But if you want like a consistency piece, I think that Schultz, Johnny Smith, worth picking up. In a keeper league, I drafted Flowers in the 8th. If Ian's season healthy, he might be my keeper. Lose my 7th round pick next year. Yeah, I mean, I think I'm in the same boat in my keeper league. That's right around where I drafted Zay Flowers, but that's why I drafted him there. And I think that's probably what you were thinking as well. And I mean, in keeper leagues, you have to go after at least one rookie wide receiver at a good value. I think he's a great keeper. I mean, I was a huge fan of Zay Flowers coming into the year. I think he's definitely a good keeper for you, bro. And it's worth losing that draft pick. He'll be. I mean, as long as he finishes the season healthy and that chemistry keeps building with Lamar, which we saw last week, finally saw him score. I think he'll, rankings wise next year finish higher, be drafted higher than that. So yeah, I think he's a great keeper. I'll keep him with you in my keeper league. So we'll do it together. E-Money, what's good, bro? Real goated. What's up, dude? Thank you for reminding me of the name swap. Good to see you, dude. GG Sport, DJ Moore, Ridley, Flowers, Lockett, Rice. Flex 1. You have all kinds of great options here. All kinds of good options. Oh, it's tough. For some reason, I'm leaning Flowers. Maybe just because we were just talking about Flowers. I think Rice is a good start, though. Ridley's always a guy. I don't like Ridley on the short week against the Saints, though, with a questionable quarterback. Lions 18th against wide receivers. So it's not the worst matchup for Flowers. Rashid Rice has the Chargers. They're 29th. He's got such a good matchup. Ridley, short week, 13th against the wide receiver positions where the Saints rank. I mean, you can always start, pop, lock, and drop it. He's got a good enough matchup, I guess. Cardinals are 28th. He could have a boom week. I'm going to say Rice, Lockett based on matchup, and then I like Flowers still. I know that didn't really answer your question, but I guess DJ Moore and Ridley are the odd men out for me. Should I start Hal or Gino? I like Hal. If Deontay is active for the Rams game, flex 1, half PPR, B-Rob, Deontay, JT, Osborne. B-Rob against the Giants or JT if it's half PPR. I go with the running back position. Would trade Anthony Richardson, Mingo, Kincaid for Pitts and Waddle. Dynasty 12-team Superflex start 10 PPR, 2 tight end premium. I'm contending also. I mean, I do think it's a fair trade. But Lucius, it depends on your quarterbacks because Nothing more valuable than a good quarterback in Dynasty, and it's super flex. Richardson's out for the year, but he's still a very, very valuable asset. Mingo, Kincaid, the verdict's out. You got to be patient. Pitts and Waddle, the production's there, right? Pitts, we're trusting him right now. See where it goes. Waddle, great though. Waddle kind of puts it over the edge. I mean, Lincoln, it definitely depends on your quarterbacks. Hate to see you lose a Rich, but Waddle kind of makes it very close here. I mean, in essence, I do think it's a fair trade. But in Dynasty, especially super flex, I mean, you gotta hold on to those quarterbacks, man. PPR rich season Higgins or Flowers. Whew. I mean, it's probably still Higgins, but I really like Flowers. I wouldn't be selling Higgins right now. Wait till he pops off again. 2 and 4, trade for Gibbs. Wait, trade JJ for Gibbs and Ayuk. I'm still not on the trade JJ train, but if you're really concerned about your roster and you have a losing record, you can consider it. It depends on the rest of your roster. I don't know if I do it though. Are you concerned about Roshan? I mean, not really. If he plays, then we can throw him out there. It's a good matchup. Long term, maybe. Ridley or Watson? I think Watson's the better play here. Just a nice upside play. Great matchup. Yeah, Browns defense, a great start this week, guys. If they're out there, scoop them up. They played Minshew Mania. They've looked great. Pick them up. Any Niners running backs worth a roster spot? I mean, they're worth it, but on your bench, I just don't want to start them yet. One quick question. What's up with the Rams running back situation? Evan went from 11 to 1.7. Yeah. So essentially what happened here is they signed Myles Gaskin and they signed Darrell Henderson. So they went from having like literally just Zach Evans available to having 3 running backs available. One of who's played in the system before, and Henderson, and then Gaskin, who's like a guy who's done some things. So that's why. And that's why we don't have a lot of confidence in this backfield right now. And I think there's technically still a chance Kyron can play, but I don't think he's going to play. Full PPR need 1 tight end, 1 flex. Ridley, Laporta, Ingram, Warren, Mason, Hunt, White. What's up, Ulrich? Ridley, just keep trusting him. Throw him out there. I don't really like. Oh, you need 1 tight end. I'm sorry. So put Ridley in the flex, and then, I mean, I will say if Trevor Lawrence doesn't play, then maybe you don't go with him. But also, just looking at the options, I think I stick with him because Rachaad White still has a tough matchup this week. He has had one of the worst schedules for running backs. He gets the Falcons; they're 8th against the position. So I probably go Ridley and Laporta here. Don't listen to ESPN projections yet. I mean, don't any projections out there they don't mean anything, you know. Listen to tape, game scripts, matchups. Agreed. Watson out. Deshaun Watson. Yeah, I don't know about this situation. He didn't practice today, but I don't know. The situation's getting worse and worse as things go on. Who do you like better if T-Law plays, Ridley or Kirk? I like Kirk. Who do you like better if T-Law doesn't play? Kirk. I just like Kirk in general. Cousins and Stroud over Kyler. Yeah, for now, for sure. Have a good night, Andrew. Will Jeff Wilson play this week? I mean, it's very possible. My nose is like really itching, and I don't know why it's pissing me off. It's possible. I love Kenneth. Traded him plus have Charbonnet. Appreciate you. Just bye weeks injuries have hurt that second flex. I get you. But you got to hold on. That's your boy. Just wish they would come out and say Fields is out, right? Taysom Hill over Komet. Taysom had 7 catches last week. Komet had 2. I mean, that's fine if you want to roll with that, but expect disappointment. Just what are we gonna do here? This tier tight ends so back and forth. I don't even know. As soon as you bench one, the other's gonna go off, right? Most starting on med will be the backs. Jeff's not off IR yet. I guess that is technically true, but I think he will probably come off. We'll see though. We'll see. Started Hunt and Jameson past week. Jeez. Good calls. Let's see. 5-1 in 4 leagues. Nice, John. Yeah, Julio Jones is back on a football team. What's up, Santos? Good to see you, bro. Hello, hello. All right, let's see here. Got Chiron and Monty both out. Brees by week. Have Zach Evans and Algier left, unfortunately. One QB, two running backs, two receivers, tight end flex. Have Cup, Adams, Puka, Higgins down, Samuel at wide receiver. Nice, 5-1. So, do you need running back? Is what you're asking? Let's see here. Yeah, you can't start Brees. That's tough. I mean, sometimes like you have a winning record, man. If there's nothing out there on waiver, like what are you supposed to do? You just start Zach Evans and Algier and cross your fingers. You have great wide receivers. I think you start Cup, you start Adams, you start Puka. The Steelers secondary is awful. And you just close your eyes and hope for the best. What are you supposed to do? Unless you can trade someone last minute. And if Debo's plays, you can start him as well. Great matchup for him. Should I start Saquon over Jacobs and Pacheco? If so, who do I replace? I mean, I like Pacheco on a weekly basis, and he's got a great matchup this week. The Chargers have been really weak against the position, so I don't mind Pacheco at all. I mean, they haven't been too weak. They're 17th, but they're still not good. And yeah, I mean, Josh Jacobs, another guy that if you own him, you start him. It's a great matchup. But Barkley, another guy, if you own him, probably start him. So here's my thing, though. If you're worried about the Giants' offense, you don't love them led by Tyrod Taylor if he's a starter. I mean, Saquon still hit double digits last week with 93 yards on the ground and 4 catches. So keep that in mind. I mean, it's really close. This is just one of those situations where you need to trust your gut. But I think Saquon and Jacobs really hard to bench. And I do really like Pacheco, though, and he's been good. So I might roll with Saquon and Jacobs. But at least you have the option of rolling out Pacheco if you feel indifferent about one of the other two. Last play, should I trade Puka for another running back? Don't trade Puka this week, guys. Coming off a bad game, he plays the Steelers have a really bad secondary. So just wait until after this game because it can't be much worse than last week. And the Steelers are bottom 12 against wide receivers. So just wait. Time to drop Fields for Murray. No. I mean, Fields might get hit with the injury designation. You can move him to IR. He might play. Just, I'm not there yet. And I'm okay with Kyler, but I'm not there. Rather Roshan or Javonte. Roshan. I got nothing to do with Broncos. Pat Freiermuth or Musgrave. Freiermuth, fine. A good matchup this week. Been a little banged up. Had a bye week. Should be good. Musgrave, great matchup. Freiermuth, the floor play. Musgrave, upside. What's your thoughts on Waller? I just think Waller, one of those guys, if you own him, you probably just roll him out there and cross your fingers. Like, I don't know what else we can really do here. I wasn't really big on Waller coming into the year. I think he's okay, but we'll just have to see how this Giants offense continues to look. I think he's fine, but not a high ceiling. I don't really love him. Didn't really like him going into the year, but if you drafted him, what are you supposed to do, really? Let me see. Hold on, I'm getting repeats in the chat. Should I start Hollywood, Cooper, or London? All are good, but I like Cooper. Cooper's solid. Doesn't really matter who's at quarterback. I'll go Cooper. They're all fine. Yeah, I agree. Don't give up on Puka yet. My running back depth not being good. Should I trade Smith or Puka for Jones? I mean, that's a fair trade, but once again, I think you hold Puka, and then Smith is really murky right now. It's a good matchup for Jones this week. If you need to win now, maybe so. Trade Ayuk for Cup? Yes. Yes. I mean, I like Ayuk a ton. It's a good matchup this week. But yes. Christian Watson or Calvin Ridley. And do you think Devontae will come back? I mean, Devontae will probably be questionable going into the weekend. My bigger issue with Devontae is who's his quarterback going to be? Hoyer, Aiden. I don't know. I go Watson. I love Christian Watson this week, guys. Great matchup. So trade Pickens for Najee. I know Najee hasn't been great, but I need the running back depth, hoping he turns it on after the bye week. Pickens, a boomer bust, flex play, good enough, high ceiling, low floor. If you're okay with losing that, sure. Is Darrell Henderson a valid pickup? Or should I leave him? I just leave him. Once Kyron's back, he owns his backfield. Trade Ayuk and Henry for Cup, sure. Yeah, go get Cup. Trade Hollywood for Wilson. I mean, I think it's like it doesn't really change your team. I think both are kind of in similar situations. Great wide receivers, bad quarterback play. Keep Ayuk and Henry. Cup is doing great, but injury prone. I mean, that's fair. That's fair. Maybe Henry gets traded and he's on a really good team. I don't know. 8-team 6-point, 2 wide receiver, 2 flex. I will use Amon-Ra. Here's my other wide receivers. I'll need 3 total. Palmer, Davis, Watson, Dobbs. Picked up Rashee Rice. Yeah, good options here. I'd start Gabe Davis. He's in a good spot to boom this week. New England's defense sucks. I'd start Christian Watson. You're starting Amon-Ra. If you don't feel good about either of those guys, whether Gabe Davis too volatile for you or Watson, you're not confident yet, Rashee Rice a really good start. I won't be surprised if Dobbs plays well also. Hold on to Judy or trade him for JSN. I have no faith in Judy, so if you want to move him, that's fine. Best trade I made, sent away James Conner week 5, received Tua. Have Burrow. Can't go wrong with Tua time. Start Evans over Moss or Rice in the flex. You can. I mean, Evans, if he's healthy, you can start him every week. Okay. And I mean, I know the last 2 weeks or whatever haven't been great, and it's not a great matchup this week. But I like Rashee Rice, and I think Zach Moss will still have some value. But yeah, you can always start Evans. Kirk or Christian Watson. I mean, short week, not a great matchup for Kirk. I do like Kirk. I do think he'll be fine whether T-Law plays or not. I think the ceiling's a little bit capped. Watson's the upside play for sure. Do I start Saquon over Pacheco or Jacobs? Yeah, like I said, I think that's fine. I think he'll be okay. You can start. Really, any of these guys are fine. Trust your gut on this one. Hollywood or Garrett Wilson rest of the season? I literally view these guys like almost identical. So whichever offense you have more faith in. K-Dub, what's up? In a 10-man full PPR, I have Gabe Davis and Lockett. Should I drop either for any of the following? Down, Samuel, Jason, Shaheed Bourne? No. I mean, I like some of those players, but no, I'd keep Davis and Lockett. Kyron already out. Yeah, it depends on some. I think he's listed as questionable on some platforms, but he's not going to play. Yeah. Josh Downs or Tutu Atwell. I go Josh Downs. Been running Komet, but now pivoting to Waller. Fields is out. Yeah, Komet really just no value without Fields. I Have Ingram for a full play every week. Yeah, he's been great. I agree. Puka should be in your lineups. Last question. Which defense? Niners, Giants, Rams, or Packers? I do like the Packers this week, but kind of hard to bench the Niners. Not a fantastic matchup against the Vikings, but you can probably just roll with the Niners. If you want a kind of streaming option, go Packers. Yeah, it's a good point. Puka did miss that touchdown. Well, I guess Stafford missed it, but should have been a bigger game for Puka last weekend. Or there Roshan or Hunt. I guess Roshan, because I feel like he has a more clear path to an RB1, but both are fine. 2-2 or Charbs. 2-2, I guess. Week 8, NFL trade deadline is coming soon. Anyone you feel strongly will be traded? Jerry Jeudy. Yeah, we're hearing buzz about Derrick Henry. We'll see. 5-1, traded Pittman for Jefferson. What? My other wide receivers are CD, Keenan, McLaurin, Diop, Palmer. Was this a good trade? Yeah, for sure. If you got JJ, why not? I mean, it's a little risky. You're losing a pretty consistent piece in Pittman, and JJ, I don't know, apparently might not play this year, but I think it's worth it. It's worth the risk. You may have got the number 1 overall pick. I'm fine with it. Wish I was in a league where someone would trade JJ for Pittman straight up. Yeah, I was going to say like that. Yeah, of course it's worth it. There's playing devil's advocate there, but yeah, it's for sure worth it. DJ Moore, Mike Evans. The field situation makes it really murky. Probably Evans, but it's close. Someone drops Spears in my league. I might pick him up and hope Henry gets traded so I finally get a healthy RB1. I think he's a great handcuff anyways. Good night, John. Appreciate you, man. We'll talk to you soon. Dobbs or Rashee Rice? I like both a lot. I mean, I don't want to get rid of either guy. Rice might be coming into a really good role, but Dobbs has been fine. Rice is more the upside play, but both are fine. Both are fine. Falcons fan says he meant Zach Evans. Oh. Then no. No. Rashee Rice and Zach Moss over Zach Evans for sure. For sure. All right. Sorry. Lost my spot. Ray, what's up? Start Hollywood or Deontay? I'm going to go Hollywood. I mean, I think Deontay's okay. Rams have been pretty good against wide receivers. I think Deontay's okay, but in his first game back, I don't know if I'm there. And Hollywood has the better match. Sorry, I get my matchups backwards. I go Hollywood. It's a good matchup against Seattle. I'll go Hollywood. Seattle defense, a good start due to the fact it's the Cardinals. They're fine, but I don't see a crazy high ceiling. They're okay, though. Should I trade B-Rob and Puka for Kamara? No, I would not do that trade. No. Who else is 6-0? I'm 6-0 in one league. One league. Dynasty league. Spears a good flex no matter what. Yeah, he's decent. Decent floor. Is it worth it to hold on to both Browns and Ravens? I mean, I don't typically roster 2 defenses unless like I'm just in a position where I have moved a player to IR or like had someone who's a no doubt must drop and there's just nothing on waiver and maybe my opponent has a crappy defense in for the week. Then I'll pick up like a second one, but I just keep one or the other. They're both good defenses though. I mean, you know, the interesting thing is, I mean, the Ravens are the defense 11 in fantasy and the Browns are defense 19. Like both these defenses are great, but they're not great fantasy defenses. So I'd say no. Do I think Singletary is worth a roster spot on your bench? Yeah, he's worth picking up. Just got offered Evans and Rice for Dobbs and Moore. Yeah, I mean, Evans versus Moore, close. Rice versus Dobbs, close. So if you like it, that's fine. 1-4 man, 10 man, most points in the league. That's how it goes, right? Monty, Mostert, Roshan Wilson, Spears, Tyreek, Devontae Wilson, London, Downs, Boyd, Hawkinson. Should I make any moves? You can try and trade for a running back, and that's just because Monty's out. Keep Hawkinson, but you got to keep Tyreek, Devontae. You could trade Wilson or London and try and get a nice upgrade at running back. But I think you can also start Roshan Johnson, start Tyreek, Devontae, then flex Wilson or London. But you can also trade Wilson or London and try to get an upgrade at running back. Yeah, you got Hurts at quarterback. I mean, your team looks good. Just keep fighting. I mean, 2-4. Yeah. Don't have a bad team. Palmer or Rice? I'll go Rice. Better matchup. What's the defense you suggest I should start this week? I mean, it depends on who's available. Our must-start defenses by Steven is out for the week. The Raiders are a good stream. I think Washington's a decent stream against the Giants. The Jaguars a good stream against the Colts. So there's some options out there. Which kicker to pick up my boy Myers or Brett Meyer? I like Brett Meyer more, but Myers is okay. Yeah, you got a good team. You scored the most points in your league. It's just been happens, man. Unfortunate, but your team looks solid, bro. What do you think of Zach Moss this week? Monty and Ace Shane out. No choice but to start him. He's fine. You know, the ceiling's now capped with JT around, but he's fine. He's been productive enough. So do I love it? No, but I think he's okay to start. All right, ladies and gentlemen, finally made it to the bottom of the chat. A little bit over an hour, so we're going to start wrapping it up here the next minute or so. So if you guys have any last second questions, get them in. Guys, on the way out, be sure to hit that like button. If you guys are new to the channel, thank you for being here tonight. Hope you guys enjoyed this stream, and I hope you guys consider subscribing. Free Discord link is in the description down below. You guys can always ask questions on our Discord, get community feedback, and I'll get back to you guys when I can on there as well. But we have a very active Discord community. Love for you guys to join. It's completely free. And our Instagram link is down below. Those are the two best places to get updates for myself and for the channel. Would you start Roshan or Mason? Definitely Roshan. Cleveland or New Orleans, long-term better fantasy defense. Jacksonville, perhaps the Jets. Cleveland has not been a great fantasy defense, so I'm going to say the Saints. But that's the thing. Like, when we're looking at these four teams, like, they're all just fine from a fantasy perspective to hold. So you're still kind of playing the streaming game. But the Saints are number 8. The Jags are number 9. So I kind of lean towards those two. And the Jets are a fine defense, but they still have some weaknesses. But they do come in as a defense 4. But they're going to face the Giants, the Chargers, Las Vegas. So they have some opportunities. But I'd probably just hold the Saints for now. Appreciate you, Gavin. Trade Fields and Dallas defense for Goff and Gabe Davis. I mean, you can definitely consider it. I'm a streamer when it comes to defenses. Goff's a top 5 quarterback. Gabe Davis, if you're hurting at wide receiver, is a nice flex play. Sam Howell, Love. These are probably my two favorite quote-unquote streaming quarterbacks, but I go Jordan Love because the matchup's better. Pick 2 running backs, Aaron Jones, Hunt, Moss, Reynolds. Aaron Jones against the Broncos. And I guess Kareem Hunt because it's a good matchup, but you could go Zach Moss here. Better matchup for Hunt, so I'll go with Hunt, but it's close. Space Ghost, Flowers or McLaurin? McLaurin against the Giants, but very close. I like both this week. All right, guys. Appreciate you guys hanging out tonight. I'm sorry I have to go ahead and exit for the night. Great stream. Thank you guys so much for the fantasy questions. I really appreciate it. Love hopping on and talking to you guys. Good to connect with you guys tonight. And I will be back on tomorrow night, but probably be after the games. And then Steven and I's Thursday night streams before the games will probably resume the following week or starting back in November. I just had some changes in my schedule, so it's been a little bit more difficult for me to stream right before the games like we had been doing. But we will get back on that schedule soon. But I'll be back on probably tomorrow night after the games, or after the game, I should say. And then I'll be back on Friday night with Pete from After the Review. And I'll be on Saturday night as well as Sunday. So here to help you guys. And we're going to win some fantasy matchups this week. Appreciate you, Tommy. All right, last question. DJ Moore, Ridley, Watson. I go Watson against the Broncos. Love this matchup. Give me Watson. All right, guys, hit the like, subscribe, do all the YouTube stuff. Thank you guys so much for hanging out tonight, man. I had a blast with you guys. Appreciate you guys, man. Love this community. Love the Catch fam. Love you guys, man. Everyone be safe. Have a great Thursday. And I'll talk to you guys soon. Well, with that, I will say thank you guys so much for watching and or listening. And remember, yes, odd here on the Catch. And